What is up, my brothers and sisters? With the dawn of the Ukraine war and the Russians, we have stumbled upon a new type of warfare that has changed the battlefield forever, and that is drones. Drones have changed the scenery of battlefield forever. You can spot enemy units before you get there in their dugouts and their trenches. A lot of times the enemy doesn't even know you're above them. You can take out tanks with explosives and mortar rounds. Scope out enemy hideouts before you move forward. And an ingenious idea I don't see why is not being used is magnets. Why don't they have a bunch of magnets? Possibly float a bunch of magnets in the air. Have a bunch of magnets around their tanks. If you have a bunch of magnets surrounding you in the air, then you don't have to worry about them entering your bubble. It's just an ingenious idea, and I'm just wondering why it's not being used. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it has no effect. But for the longest time, we've known that magnets destroy televisions, computer drives, the motherboard. Magnets have a way of destroying electronics. You take a strong magnet, so I would imagine that before the drone even gets there, if you have a bunch of magnets floating in the air, I don't know, maybe like a kite or something, or something stronger than a kite, obviously, because, the magnet would drag the kite down, but possibly drones with magnets. I'm not sure if it's because of a cost effective, maybe it's too expensive to use such items, but I would think that magnets would be the answer to disrupting their vision, disrupting their flight patterns, disrupting pretty much everything electronic. We've always known magnets to destroy and interfere with electronics. You take a magnet to, again, a television or a hard drive or a motherboard to a computer, and it would absolutely destroy that computer, cause a bit flip, all kinds of stuff. It would just cause anarchy and chaos to electronics. And, maybe I'm wrong again. Maybe there's somebody who is smarter in this area or specializes in this area, but I would think, it's kind of an ingenious idea. And I'm just wondering why it's not being used in the new face of warfare. When I started doing this stuff, I had this vision or this message that the creator told me, and he was basically like, wear a magnet, get a necklace and wear a giant magnet, kind of like Flavor Flav when he used to wear the clock, and he was all gangster with the Flavor Flav, right? And he had that giant clock around his neck. Well, if you have a giant magnet, that would destroy, I even have the thought and the theory in my mind that if you have a giant magnet and you're wearing a giant magnet or you have multiple magnets and you walk into Walmart, they might not even be able to identify you because your face would be all blurry. It's just an idea, an ingenious idea, and, to kind of thwart towards somebody maybe who's smarter than me in this area. And, because technology is now becoming God in warfare, in civilian life. So, again, if you have identification programs in like Walmart and like wherever you go. If you have giant magnets around you, or like you're wearing magnets, kind of like carrying like stones or talismans with you, that it would be a type of, I guess you could say, sorcery or magic, but it's really just science. And maybe possibly blur your face, possibly interrupt a drone and cause interference. It's just an idea.